Trying to I have a title. Today we're going to talk about what your mouth is trying to say,
Oh,
emotional aspects of the mouth, teeth. Okay, good morning. I think we might be live. Let's see if we are. What am I seeing? Oh, I'm seeing your light, your sunlight,
I'm gonna move out. I just was getting that
skylight.
breakfast.
Okay.
Yep, that's what it is.
All right, good morning. It looks like we've got a couple people on, and so we want to get started right away. Today, we are going to be talking about what your mouth is trying to say. We're talking about your teeth, your mouth, your jaw, and some of that. So let's get started. Mm, Here we go. It's cold today, so you see my socks. Mm. And we're going for 20 minutes, and I'm slowing it down a little so it doesn't make me seasick. Okay, here we go. Okay, today I want to share with you. Over the weekend, I had the opportunity to look into a little bit more deeply some of the emotional aspects of the teeth, the jaw, the gums, all of those kind of different things. And I was really, really interested in what I found. So I wanted to share some of that with you this morning because a lot of people have dental problems of some type. And did you know they can be rooted in some emotional stuff. And even if you think, no, this is an injury or something that's not related to my emotions, it could be your body signaling that there's an emotional root that you need to look at. So even if you don't think it came on because of an emotion, there's probably an emotion involved and it will help either in the quicker healing or in healing other areas in your life. So if you're open and willing to explore, then here we go. All right, I'm going to move to the teeth. I'm using the app, the Essential Emotions app, and I'm in the body section and then I'm under teeth. Okay, and maybe it would be cool if I next time join with my phone so you could read along. Doing that right now would be a lot of time and annoying to watch, in my opinion. So, okay, here we go. So the teeth takes us actually to mouth because it's kind of all of that. And so it's the oral cavity, the lips, the tongue, the teeth, the gums, tonsils, um, your palate, your jaw, the uvula, and your salivary glands that we're talking about. And the potential emotional root, there's actually a lot that can be here, and not all of it will necessarily apply to your situation. So if you're having issues with your teeth, if you're needing to go to the dentist for something, you need a crown, or you've been told you need a root canal or something like that, look at these things. I'm not saying don't go do those things. I'm saying look at these emotions while you're while you're working on these things because it can help you in what you're trying to do for your physical situation. Okay, so here we go with some potential emotional roots. We have difficulty discerning between what helps and what harms, struggling to communicate honestly or authentically. That is definitely something we struggle with in our society today. Overly guarded and withholding, or overly open and unfiltered. So it could be both, right? One or the other. It doesn't have to necessarily be one. You could be more guarded or you could be more open. Um and unfiltered with your words and emotions. So just like blasting everybody with it all, right? Okay, what about lacking nourishment? And that could be emotional nourishment, lacking care and love. Here's another one, ineffective boundaries between the outer world and the inner world. I think that one's really interesting. Ineffective boundaries. That makes me think about like when I was listening to Casey Means talking on a podcast, and I remember her talking about like your whole digestive tract from the time it enters your food, your mouth, to the time it exits your body. There's this tube that it's going through, and your body is determining all the way through what is helpful and what is harmful. And it is determining what it will take to become a part of the body and what it will not take, but what it will just continue to pass through. And that was so fascinating to me, this idea of your body making these decisions and how that itself is a boundary. But we also have an option to have a boundary prior to the entry of the food into the mouth. That is another place where we have that opportunity to choose. And this idea of having that discernment between what will be helpful and what will be harmful. So I had a really interesting experience last week. I went to a dinner. I paid a lot of money to go to the dinner. I was very excited. It was the dinner, if you heard my episode on Dr. Yusuf and his work on uh, psychoatric, whatever they're called, SSRIs, right? The drugs that are very, very much prescribed in our world today. Did you know? I mean, it's just so high, like 20%, 1 in 5 of women are on these medications. And he was very kind about that. So I don't want to dig at all about anybody who's on these medications, but he is asking the question, like, what are we missing? Because we're going straight to medication and we're not taking care of some of these um, emotional pieces of things in a way that can be addressed by lifestyle, diet, and relationships, connections. Healing some of those things is going to make the biggest difference in our lives, even bigger than medication. But anyway, that's kind of a little bit of a side note. So I paid a lot of money to go to this dinner, and you have this feeling when you pay money that you have to like eat everything because you paid good money for it. But is that really true? And so this interesting thing happened as the cake was coming around at the end, and it might have been a tort, like a chocolate tort. So it might have actually been gluten free, but I knew it wasn't sugar free. And I've been gluten and sugar free for a little while. And anyway, I went ahead and got the piece of cake in front of me, but the girl next to me said no. And do you know that one little thing gave me the strength to be like, no, I do not have to put that in my mouth. So right there, you have a boundary at your mouth and you get to decide what you're going to put in your mouth. So isn't that interesting? This is part of boundaries. All right, let's keep going. Ineffective boundaries between the outer world and the inner world, imbalance between strength and softness. Okay, think about that in light of the mouth, right? Strength and softness. If you have an imbalance there between strength and softness, tearing down and building up in relationships with others. Think about teeth, what they have the capacity to do, tearing down and building up. And especially our mouths, right? We can tear things down with our mouths, with our biting comments, or we can build them up with loving words in our relationships with others, disconnected from deeper imbalances. Self betrayal, also sexual trauma is related to this area. So this is really interesting. And as you look at those things, if anything particularly resonated with you on this, then you can go deeper and start looking at, let's look at what are the underlying emotions here.
I
Going
think
on.
it's so I use
So the first one, it says boundaries, which we've talked about a little bit. Here's another, discerning. Honest, expressive, authentic, withholding, projecting. Maybe you're taking things that are happening to you and projecting them onto other people. Nourished, unnurtured, so needing nurturing, Body acceptance. That's interesting, right? Especially if you think about the words we speak regarding our body. Guarded, harsh, compassionate, gentle, disconnected, self betrayal, or traumatized. So, as you look at that list, each one of those will go in deeper to something. And so the one that stood out to me as I was reading these today was self betrayal. So, self betrayal is something I really learned about when I read Leadership and Self Deception by the Arbor Institute. Several years ago, I read it the first time. And then I also read, and this is one that I read regularly, The Anatomy of Peace by the same authors, the Arbor Institute. So, very interesting how we betray ourselves. And they give the example of a man who has his wife has a new baby. So, they have a new baby, and he's sleeping, she's sleeping. The baby starts crying, and he has this moment, this little flash of inspiration that says, I'm going to go take care of the baby so my wife can keep sleeping. Then, instead of acting on that immediately, what does he do instead? He doesn't do that. In this act of self betrayal, he starts to, he hears the baby, and then he starts to judge his wife because she's still sleeping. How dare she? And the baby's crying, and doesn't she even realize that this is happening? And the more he doesn't act on the inspiration that he initially had to go and care for the baby and serve his wife in that way, the more angry he gets at his wife for not caring. And doesn't she know that I have to work in the morning? And, da 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 da. And when you think about something this simple, you can see the places where you may have betrayed yourself. You can see it more and more frequently the more you consider on it and start seeing where you had an inspiration to do something good, and you didn't do it. And then in that moment of not doing it, that's an act of self-betrayal. And then you start to justify why you didn't do it and how it's really the other person's fault entirely. Okay, so self-betrayal is the one that kind of stood out to me, and I wanted to give you that little bit of background so that you could maybe see if that resonates with you too. But let's go ahead and look at that one. So if I click on self-betrayal, then I go to it. It says see codependent and integrity. So I read Melody Beatty's book, Codependent No More. That's also a classic for me. It's one that I have read multiple times over the years in my efforts to not be um, attached to, so attached, unhealthily attached to what other people think or do. But let's go ahead and look at that one again as well. So codependent. Okay, here we go. The emotional oils that go with codependent, there's a few of them. So we have tea tree, we have clove, we have on guard, Niawood, purify, oregano, ginger, jasmine, Shield, lemon, eucalyptus, citronella. Citronella came up on a scan for me this week. Um, boy, I can't see that one. Amavi, maybe. Yes. Align, Hamer, which is one of our kids' oils, Abode, and Palmarosa. All right, we're gonna go with citronella because that one came up on a scan for me. But so let's read about citronella. Whoops, I turned the orientation, made it a little hard to see. So citronella is the oil of averting. It is a potent, it's potent for repelling unwanted invaders from the body and the energy field. So this one actually we use also as a, well, citronella. Like if you've ever gotten a citronella candle, it helps keep the mosquitoes away when you're out on your back patio trying to have a party, right? Okay, so citronella helps to repel unwanted invaders from the body and the energy field. While it's best to try and avert the invasion or contamination from harmful organisms and energies, it's not always possible. So sometimes you're going to get them, the invaders. Citronella also assists individuals in expelling undesirables once they've been established. So if they're inside of you already, this is a good one to help you remove them. And that's also energetically. The invitation from citronella is to carefully observe what individuals are allowing into their physical, mental, and emotional space and to choose more consciously what they allow into their lives. It reminds that small weeds grow quickly when they're left unattended. Citronella is especially helpful when individuals have been unconsciously allowing little irritations and judgments to build up over time. Look at that. That makes sense, doesn't it? Recurring negative thoughts and reactions accumulate and stagnate in various parts of the body, causing havoc. Citronella challenges individuals to reckon with their addiction to feeling agitated and annoyed. Oh my goodness, isn't that the truth? Do we have an addiction to feeling agitated and annoyed? And do we need to reckon with that? It assists in breaking the energetic cycle of constant irritation, and it teaches us how to release these degrading states so that they don't continue to prey on the life force. Okay, so this is really, really good. Here we are. We're going to reckon with this. So if you have citronella, go ahead and breathe it. If you don't have citronella, pick another oil and think about citronella and also just like kind of invite that energy in because it's in the ether. Everybody knows what the oil, I mean, like the energy of the world knows what citronella is. And so you can breathe something else, hopefully something pure, and have that have that come in. But citronella is a great one actually to have, and it is really, really great for repelling mosquitoes for your party. Okay, here we go. You can inhale it from the bottle. You can add several drops to a spray bottle and mist it. You can put it in a diffuser. You can also use it topically. So you can put it on the bottoms of your feet. They do recommend using a carrier oil with this one. And that helps with feeling less irritated, less judgmental, less invaded or violated. That might even just be your space, right? You might just have kids that are annoying, less overrun, less overwhelmed. You might have parents that are annoying. You might have siblings that are annoying, right? All those people can be just like invaders, which doesn't mean they don't need to be in your life. It means you need to be able to help those invasive feelings to be um, to be resolved. Less undiscerning, less stagnant, and less intolerant, and feel more discerning, forgiving, releasing, um, avoiding of things that are less than desirable for you, releasing, repelling, having good boundaries. And it lists several companion oils that can be helpful with them as well. Okay, so let's go back. We're going to ask ourselves some questions on this codependent emotion. Am I engaging with others in unhealthy ways? Do I feel the need to control others' choices and behaviors? Take a deep breath. Do I feel capable of independently navigating my own life? Okay, so these are all really good questions. So I actually don't have citronella with me right here, but I do have myrrh because that's another really good one for your mouth. So I'm just going to take a little bit of myrrh and I'm going to breathe that one in. I'm going to ask these questions again. Okay, here we go. Am I engaging with others in unhealthy ways? Breathe that in. You don't have to answer these out loud. You don't even have to have a conscious answer, but you might have something come to mind that you're noticing about ways that you could do better. And when you see that, I don't want you to get like all defensive or judgy about yourself. I just want you to go, huh, that's interesting. So take that nice deep breath. Do I feel the need to control others' choices and behaviors? So think about that for a minute. Think about what you were doing in the last 24 hours Think about any relationships, any friendships, connections, family members, or others that you were trying to boss around or control, or even if you didn't say anything, but you just felt it, right? You were just like biting off your words. So, this again is about the mouth, right? You're biting off your words because you didn't want to be offensive, but you were just like wishing that they would just do it your way. Ugh, this is landing for me. How about you? All right. Now, as you're thinking about this, here's one more. Do I feel capable of independently managing my own life? So there's two parts to this. One is, can I manage my life without somebody else telling me what to do all the time? And two is, if I'm so busy telling everybody else how to live their lives, is anyone living mine? Right? Take some deep breaths. Now notice in your body where you feel this feeling of either needing to control others or needing to be controlled by others, like feeling uncertain about how to continue on. I'm actually going to go another 10 because we're going to finish this. Um, all right. So be thinking now, where do you feel that in your body, that need to control others or that need to have somebody basically telling you what to do because you're not sure about running your own life? Or the feeling of when you're not taking care of yourself and you're noticing that there's like a void because you're busy taking care of somebody else's life. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit in my throat and a little bit in my stomach. So as you're noticing where those are, you can put your hand on those areas. Keep breathing in your oil. And then I want you to notice, like, can you feel how much energy it is taking to maintain this emotion, this codependent emotion of needing to control others or needing to be controlled? And when you notice that, how much energy it's taking, is this something that you're open to letting go? So I'm going to say, yes, I'm open to letting this go. I want more peace and happiness in my life and less pain of judging other people. So let me move into the release script, which is also in the up. Here we go. Release your emotion. I choose to release, and I like to do a little tapping on my collarbone or really anywhere on my body. I choose to release this codependency with all of its negative attachments and hold on me. I now hand it over to the divine, and you can replace the divine with any word you choose. That means a higher power for you. For transformation and healing, I release it from my body, from my mind, and my soul, and I surrender it to be taken away and dissolved by the divine. Take another deep breath. And while you're breathing, imagine taking back the helm of your own life. See yourself making choices that feel right for you. Visualize others as fully capable of steering their own ships through the waves of life and allow them to charter their own course. Feel yourself empowered, free, and whole, just as you are. Breathe that in. We're going to take 3 deep breaths in this state, visualizing one more in through the nose. out through the mouth. And then go ahead and let's check in for a moment. What are you noticing? What are you noticing now? Are you feeling different in your body? Does your mouth feel different? Does it feel different somewhere else where you held that emotion? Even though we started with mouth and teeth, you may not have felt that emotion in your mouth and teeth when you started identifying it. You may have actually found it somewhere else. What are you noticing now with this? I'm noticing that I feel a little less tension in my stomach and a little less worried about things that I'm responsible for. And not that I don't still feel responsible for things, just a little less worried. So that's encouraging because that will give me more energy to actually work in the problem instead of worrying about the problem, right? All right, so now let's move on. We're going to go ahead and, if you're ready, receive a new way of being. So again, I like to tap when I do this and I declare these words. I now trust myself to determine my own destiny and I allow others to do the same. Isn't that beautiful? I now trust myself to determine my own destiny and allow others to do the same. We're going to say this like 8 to 10 times. So say it out loud if you're with me. I now trust others. No, I now trust myself to determine my own destiny and allow others to do the same. I now trust myself to determine my own destiny and allow others to do the same. I now trust myself to determine my own destiny and allow others to do the same. And you can change words in this if you feel inspired to add any other words. I now trust myself to determine my own destiny and allow others to do the same. I now trust myself and my God to determine my own destiny and to allow others to do the same. I now trust myself and my Lord to determine my own destiny and allow others to do the same. I now trust myself to determine my own destiny and allow others to do the same. Okay, take some more deep breaths with this. You're going to get a lot of oxygen doing these, that's for sure. Don't hyperventilate. Deep breath in and out. And one more. This helps us to anchor in this new awareness and starts that process of creating new neural pathways in our brain so we can go a different direction and stop looping in old habits and old patterns. You can please offer yourself some compassion for the courage that it took to face and release this emotion. And then feel compassion and peace filling up that space where the emotion was one. And know that the work that you've just done is going to change the way you move forward. How will you care for yourself to continue your healing? So, this is where you get to ponder and write down at something that you're going to do to help yourself to continue your healing. And some ideas, if you're not sure, maybe rest, maybe putting some more oil on, maybe hydrating your body, maybe taking a bath, maybe journaling, dancing, stretching. That could be really, really helpful. Music, listening to music, practicing mindfulness. So maybe sitting and doing some meditation, going out and walking in nature, listening to the birds, meditation, any of those or anything else that came to mind. For me, I'm going to stretch after I'm done this morning and do some stretching. And now moving forward with this new awareness, what do you feel is your next step? Likely you've had a little bit of inspiration, maybe about a specific relationship or a specific situation in your life. And so, what will be your next step? And some ideas for that You can use your own ideas, but here's some ideas that might be helpful as well. Reach out for help, or do you need to realign some priorities? Maybe you need to establish some boundaries or reconcile with someone. Maybe reconcile with yourself. Maybe release some self-judgment. Maybe forgive yourself. Maybe forgive someone else. Any of those that you feel like would be your next step. I think for me, um, just taking a closer look at the priorities that I have this week for the things that I feel are most important or are most pressing. Look at those and determine if that really is the best use of my time. What can I do with my favorite eights? Do you remember my favorite eights? They are eliminate, delegate, and automate. Is there something I can do with some of the things that are going on that help me to either get it off my plate because it's not necessary, get it off my plate because I ask someone else to help me with it, or set up a system so that it handles itself better? And finally, what could get in the way of doing these things? And that could be anything from like old patterns, self doubt, other people's judgments. How often do we let other people's thoughts about us stop us from doing stuff that they're probably not even thinking about us? Let's be real. They're thinking about themselves. Okay. Distractions, obligations, or old patterns. All of those could get in the way. And what do you think might get in the way of you taking care of yourself in this way? Old patterns is one that frequently comes up, just like that old habit, right? And so, when that old pattern comes up, how will you respond? So, for me, I'm going to grab this oil again. I'm actually going to grab myrrh and citronella because citronella came up on a scan for me. So, I have it upstairs next to my bed. And I'm going to breathe those in and remember this experience that I just had. And that's going to help me to do that. All right. Finally, we're going to end with some gratitude. So I want you to put your hands on your heart and I want you to, or anywhere on your body, and tell yourself thank you for showing up. And also to notice what helpful insight will you take away from this experience? What helpful insight? The helpful insight that I'm having is that it really makes a difference to do the whole worksheet and not just to put on the oil, even though that is a very good start. 3 minutes with your timer, as I've told you a few times on this podcast, get your 3 minutes, get your oil, breathe it in. But what I'm noticing, what I'm taking away, is that it really makes a difference to do the entire process. So if you would like more help with this, leave a comment and I'm happy to provide additional resources for you to be able to either get it and DIY or hire me as a coach. I'd be happy to help you. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me today.